Last week was a busy one in China's foreign policy. In addition to President Xi Jinping's high-profile state visit to Russia, China also announced that it had successfully brokered a groundbreaking agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia in an effort to bring stability to war-torn Yemen. The agreement marks a significant step forward in ending the long-standing conflict between the Iranian-backed Houthi rebels and the Saudi coalition, which has been raging conflict since 2015. Both nations have agreed to pursue a political solution to end the fighting and to facilitate humanitarian aid in an effort to alleviate the suffering of Yemeni people. But what does the new agreement tell us about China's evolving role in the Middle East and about global politics more generally? Hey everyone, I'm Noah Zerbe. I'm a professor of global politics at California State Polytechnic University, Humboldt. Welcome to IR Explainer, where I explore the theories and concepts behind current events in international relations and global politics. The Yemeni Civil War is a complex conflict involving various factions with broad regional and international implications. The roots of the conflict can be found in the 2011 Arab Spring, which led to political instability and an eventual power transition in Yemen. In 2014, Houthi rebels, who belong to the Zaidi Shia minority, took advantage of a weakened central government and captured the capital city of Sana'a, forcing President Mansour Hadi and his Sunni government to flee to Saudi Arabia. This prompted a Saudi-led coalition to intervene in 2015, launching a military campaign against the Houthis in an effort to restore the Hadi government. The civil war quickly drew in regional actors, with Iran and Eritrea backing the Houthi rebels, while the Saudi government, along with Bahrain, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and others, backed the Yemeni government in exile. The United States had provided logistical and intelligence support for the Saudi-led coalition and directly conducted a number of drone strikes against individuals believed to be affiliated with the Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. However, the Biden administration in 2022 announced its intention to withdraw support for the Saudi-led coalition. The war has had devastating humanitarian, economic, and political consequences for the people of Yemen. The war has resulted in the deaths of more than 150,000 people as a direct result of the fighting, and more than 200,000 more from starvation, disease, and exposure. According to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, more than 4 million people have been displaced as a result of the fighting, and millions more are dependent on humanitarian aid for survival. Because of this, China's announcement of a mediated solution to the war was welcomed by the international community and heralded as a major step forward towards resolving the crisis in Yemen. Under the terms of the agreement, Iran and Saudi Arabia will support a United Nations brokered ceasefire, allowing the commencement of peace talks between the warring factions. Additionally, both nations will cooperate to ensure the unimpeded flow of humanitarian aid and work together to rebuild Yemen's infrastructure, which has been devastated by years of conflict. But the deal also highlights the growing role of China as a diplomatic powerhouse in the region. Previously, China and Saudi Arabia had struck a deal governing the sale of oil in Chinese yuan rather than US dollars, a deal I've explored in another video and which challenged, albeit I think in a small way, the global dominance of the US dollar. I'll link to that video below if you're interested in learning more. But what does the field of international relations tell us about China's growing influence in the region? A couple of things. First, it challenges the traditional American hegemony in the region. In international relations, hegemony has a couple of meanings, but its primary meaning essentially refers to the dominance or preeminence of one actor over others. This dominance can be achieved through a combination of economic, military, cultural, and political influence. Hegemonic power can shape the rules and norms of the international system, often in furtherance of its own interests and values. Hegemony can be exercised directly or indirectly, and its effects can be felt across various aspects of international relations, from trade and diplomacy to security and conflict resolution. China's mediation efforts in Yemen can be seen as a direct challenge to American hegemony in the region. The United States long held a dominant position in the Middle East thanks to strategic alliances, its military presence, economic influence, and its ability to craft an international order supportive of its interest and position. This hegemony has primarily been maintained through partnerships with regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Israel, as well as through direct military interventions in countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. But in recent years, China has been expanding its presence in the Middle East, seeking to establish itself as a key player in the region. This includes increased Chinese economic engagement, military cooperation, and diplomatic efforts like the one that resulted in this agreement around the Yemeni Civil War. China's involvement in Yemen demonstrates its willingness to take a more active role in regional affairs, potentially challenging the existing U.S.-led order. China's mediation efforts in Yemen thus present a challenge to American hegemony in a couple of ways. First, China's efforts to mediate the Yemen conflict represent an alternative to the U.S.-backed Saudi-led military intervention. By engaging in diplomacy and offering a different approach to regional conflict resolution, China is positioning itself as a more neutral actor, which may appeal to some regional players who are discontent with the current U.S.-dominated order. Second, China's growing economic ties with the region, including investments in infrastructure and energy projects, grant it leverage that can be used to influence regional politics. As China becomes more economically integrated with countries in the Middle East, its influence on the region's political landscape will likely continue to grow, potentially at the expense of the influence of the United States. And third, China's mediation efforts in Yemen can also be seen as an effort to enhance its soft power in the region. By presenting itself as a responsible actor contributing to the resolution of regional conflicts, China is working to improve its image and increase its influence among key regional players. As China's influence continues to grow, the polarity of the international system will continue to shift. Polarity, remember, refers to the distribution of power in the international system. During the Cold War, the world was largely bipolar with two major powers, the United States and the Soviet Union, dominating global politics. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, the world became unipolar, with the United States as the sole hegemonic power. But in recent years, the rise of China and the resurgence of Russia had led to discussions about potential shifts towards a multipolar system. China's successful mediation of the conflict in Yemen highlights its growing clout as a diplomatic powerhouse and may signal a continued shift in that global balance of power. As China takes on a more preeminent role in international affairs, the United States' relative influence may decline, leading to a more multipolar global order. This shift could have significant implications for international relations, including increased competition and potential instability as great powers vie for influence. That's it for now. If you found this helpful, click the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to catch future explainers as I release them. Please leave any questions you have about this video or any suggestions you have for future explainer topics in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.